There we go.
Today, we had to move back to today because our broadcast wouldn't work yesterday, so sorry about that. But today, we're going to cover our Beehive top 25 teams. We'll get things posted on the website today, and we're gonna touch on the Layton Invitational as well as the Millard Ironman dual tournament. Today, you just get me and Nate O'Brien is all you get today. So we're gonna move through these and see where we go. So starting with our Beehive top 25, we'll go about 5 or 7 through, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, and we'll get through them. So a couple things to remember about the Beehive top 25 teams is, one, it's based off preseason. Weights change, and a lot is going to change after this, even this first weekend on teams and who's where, and these rankings could change quite a bit. The other thing to remember is just because a team's ranked higher in a classification ranking does not mean they'll be higher in the top 25, because classification rankings, especially for 4A, 5A, they do take into account depth and JV. These rankings is only varsity. It's your top 14 kids, because you don't have a tournament that includes, your JV team and your varsity team is based off your varsity only for these, as well as, some teams may be better in duels than tournaments and vice versa. So we kind of, on these, we look at it first and foremost on tournaments, which we haven't had any tournaments yet, and then secondarily duels. But at this point, we've only had duels, so we have to base it off duels. And so, take it with a grain of salt. Don't compare it to classification rankings, because they're going to be different. Different people do the rankings. Classification rankings are done by coaches. These rankings are done by a committee. So not necessarily just me, not just Nate, but by a committee. So even in these rankings, me and Nate, we may disagree with some of them, but for the most part, they're pretty much where we think they should be as well. So, Nate, do you have anything to add on those for the rankings?
Just that you're right. It's hard to get a sense where everybody's going to be weight-wise and with their lineups. Obviously, after this weekend and probably next weekend, we'll have a really good idea, because a lot of these teams are going to duel each other. We'll have down in the Ironman and next week at Wasatch. So we'll have quite a few team duels. So we should get a pretty good feel in the next couple weeks. But I like doing it anyway, so we can have something to go off of.
Right, you gotta start somewhere, and this is a great place to start. So, but top 25 teams, regardless of classification. We'll start at number 25. We'll get up through 21. We'll stop for a little bit. So 25, 2A, we have Millard. Number 24, 5A, Syracuse. Number 23, 1A, Altamont. Number 22, 5A school, Mountain Crest. And number 21, another 1A school, Duchesne. These bottom 5, they're going to have plenty of time to move up. We have 2 1A teams in the top 25 already, which is outstanding. Altamont has a little Wasatch connection there with Sanderson. I know he's doing some great things already with the junior high program, and of course is going to melt into the high school program as well. Mountain Crest, now they're a team. I do believe they're going to be dropping classifications next year. Next year, for those that haven't heard, we're going to 6 classifications next year. I can't remember if Mountain Crest is going to be 4A or 3A. Nate, do you remember? Is Mountain Crest dropping to 4A next year?
Well, I just looked at that last night. I believe they're 4A.
4A. Yeah, because I think it's Mountain Crest, Logan, Ridgeline. I think all those schools up there are going to be the same. I was looking at that. I think it was yesterday or the day before also. So, yeah, so 6 classifications next year for those that don't know. It is final. Regions are set, and it's ready to go. Syracuse, another team, they don't have a lot of superstars this year. They have a couple, but they have a solid team from top to bottom. Millard, kind of in the same boat. They just have a solid team, and any of these teams, can move up in the rankings. They're solid enough to do so. Nate, what are your thoughts on these bottom 5?
I think that with these bottom 5, I would say they're probably in our top 25, not because we know a lot of their lineups yet, but because of just reputation. They're usually just solid teams. Man, I remember being at the Rumble a bunch of years and seeing Altamont in the top, 10. It's like, man, how's this 1A team competing
Right.
so well? And of course, Mountain Crest is always tough, and they have been for years. Same thing with Syracuse. And when I think of Syracuse, I just think they're just always going to have a solid team. It just depends on how many studs they end up having come through this that raises their rankings. Same with Millard and Duchesne. They're all just those are wrestling schools.
And you got Mountain Crest, Davey Swinson back out of retirement, leading the Mustangs in retirement. Sanderson and Altamont. So both those schools have some coaches that have been around for a while and know how to run a program. So I don't expect those, as long as those guys are leading those teams, I don't expect them to go away anytime soon. Okay, moving on. Number 20, 16 through 20. We got 20. We got Viewmont. 19, American Fork, both 5A schools. 18, Salem Hills, 4A. 17, Juab, and 16, Fremont. Now, Fremont, I'll just put this out there. We had them higher. Fremont was higher until the cancer duels when North Severe knocked them off. And North Severe impressed me. And they put it to Fremont. I know Fremont was missing some guys. North Severe was as well. But, they beat them head-to-head and beat them by like 20 points. So we went ahead and moved North Severe up and dropped Fremont a little bit. Juab, again, very solid team. Holman does a great job with Juab. They have some good upper weights this year. I know that with Sealy and they, Jackson Kindle's been around for a while. Dylan White, they have solid guys. Salem Hills, they always seem to put together a good team. And then both 5A schools, American Fork and Viewmont. Viewmont has some young kids in their lineup this year. I mean, they got, Frazier, who I think is undersized, but still competing. Essig, a lot of people don't know Lawrence Essig, but tough kid. Jeremy Evans, last year came on, was his first year coming on, and he impressed a ton of guys. Jackson Coyle. I mean, they just have a good nucleus of young kids who they could very well move up in these rankings, whether this year or next year. Another, again, 16 through 20, solid group. I don't know, of those, would you change any of those, Nate? Or do you think those are about right?
I think those ones are a little easier than the last ones we went through, the bottom 5 that we went through. This next group of 5 is a little bit easier just because I think at least I know more kids and know more of their lineups, a little more familiar. American Fork, I know all those new kids going in there, most of their seniors and stuff. We've been on teams with or wrestled with or done duels with. You're right, Juab's tough. I mean, like I said, they've got some great uppers. Got Gentry, Warner in there, and Fremont. Again, another tough team. They've got a lot of good kids in there too. I would say that Viewmont, like you said, they got a lot of young kids. And what I'm seeing with Viewmont, American Fork, Salem Hills, and even Juab, they've got a lot. They've got even Fremont. Those are all good feeder programs feeding into those. Like you were saying, some of those freshmen that are coming in and sophomores this year, they're going to help all of those teams do really well this year.
Yeah, and I think of this group, Viewmont is probably a team I could see moving up quickly. Fremont, I think they can move up because they have a good, like you said, great feeder program, one of the biggest in the state. And even though we dropped them below North Severe because of the duel, they'll have their chances to move back up, and I could see them climbing back in, up there a little bit higher.
Well, it's just like we were talking about earlier, though, today, Jeff, was that sometimes it just happens to be with just matchups,
right.
especially in a duel, like where your kids where your strength is might be the other team's strength, and if their strength's better than your strength, they could hand you a loss right there in that duel. So
Right.
who knows? They might match up better against Layton than they did North Severe, just based off
Right.
where they guys that fall in. So
True.
it's kind of interesting how duels work that way.
Yep. And again, for our viewers, that's, at a tournament, we in the future, these will be more off tournament based, because like Nate, you were saying, it's, matchups and duels. It's, one team can beat another and lose to another, and it's just matchups, and so tournaments was kind of where we'll end up going towards, the route we'll go towards, but duels will always be figured into the equation. And if a team beats a team in duel, then we'll take that into consideration on when we do the rankings. But first and foremost will be tournament, and then duels. Okay, let's get into the top 15. Number 15, we talked about a little bit, North Severe. Number 14, a 3A school, Morgan. Number 13, Desert Hills, another 3A school. Number 12, South Summit. Number 11, Harriman. So, in these, again, North Severe, they put it to Fremont at the cancer duels. They look super tough. I'm excited to see how they do in the tournament format. Morgan, they have Owen Pence and Chase Trussell, 2 All-Americans on their lineup. So it's going to come down to what they have. I know they have some other tough kids, but they have Jarrett Jorgensen coming in as a freshman. He beat one of the Staples brothers from North Summit this last weekend, or last week. Then 13, Desert Hills, maybe a little more unknown down in St. George, but they have a great team coming back this year, and they will turn some heads. Number 12, South Summit. It seems like they get the numbers. They have a strong lineup from top to bottom, and they're a tough team. Harriman at number 11. They're a tough one. They have a good lineup, but I'll start it off. They are one team that I could see dropping a little bit. We'll see this weekend at Layton. We'll see how they do, but they have a solid team. But it'll be interesting. They don't have a ton of superstars, I guess. Let's put it that way. So it'll be interesting. They'll be one to watch and see where they go. Nate, what are your thoughts on 11 through 15?
I think I agree. I think they're all scary teams, but I could also see all of them being passed by the first 10 we talked about.
Yeah.
I think South Summit, like you said, they could be deep, but they don't have any. They don't have some big horses on their teams. On their team, like they they had the Lee brother boy there last year. They got Jed this year, and they've got a couple pretty good freshmen coming in, but no, just absolute, just
Right.
going to win every match. And I would say the same thing with Harriman and Desert Hills, same thing. I think they have a couple, maybe 2 studs, but
They have a couple. I think. I mean, but you're right. You put these teams in at the Rumble, and who's going to come out on top? I mean, you look at a team like Morgan.
That's what I was. I was just going to go to Morgan.
Right. I mean, you got
and North Severe.
Owen Pence and Chase Trussell alone are going to at a Rumble type tournament. I mean, they're possible finalists. They're going to score tons and tons of points. Whereas, you take, like you said, a Harriman. You got Logan Jensen. That's going to score a ton of points at a tournament like the Rumble. But do they have other guys that are going to score enough points at the Rumble to stay in front of these other schools? I mean, they have a lot of guys that are going to be, placed at state. But at the Rumble type tournament, things will be different, and it'll be a good. I don't know. North Severe is another one. They're tough. I mean, you got Torgerson at 13, who wasn't at the duel against Fremont. You got Mac Peterson at, I think it was 82. Both those guys are going to score some decent points. Gage Mason at, I think it was 20 or 26.
26.
I mean, you have those guys that can go to the Rumble and score some major points. You know, at a state tournament now, you go to a state tournament, you have a South Summit versus a North Severe, and I don't know who's going to win that one. I mean, you just got South Summit who's going to put, 20 people on the podium or whoever it is. I mean, I guess 2A is only varsity scoring, but, they're going to put 14 guys on the podium or 12 or 10 or whatever it is going to be. And is that going to be enough to beat a North Severe, who's going to put, almost just as many on the podium? It'll be 2A is going to be a fun race. We've had 3 2A teams already on this list. Yeah, we've had 3 already. Millard, North Severe, and South Summit already on the list. And that's going to be a battle in 2A.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think 2A.
We still have
the third toughest.
We still have 2 more teams that are, going to be on this list in 2A. I mean, 5 teams in the top 25.
Right.
So, all right, let's move into the top 10. Number 10, you got Bear River. Number 9, North Summit. Number 8, Box Elder. Number 7, Maple Mountain. And number 6, Delta. So there's our other 2A schools, Delta and North Summit. North Summit, kind of an interesting team, I think. Again, great feeder program to get this kind of group of kids together. But North Summit, they're almost kind of similar to Maple Mountain 2 years ago when they had all those studs, or however many years ago that was. North Summit has a ton of studs on their team, but is it enough to pass up Delta? I don't know. Delta's pretty tough. But again, it's when you put them in South Summit, North Severe, Millard. I mean, who's going to come out on top on 2A? I mean, you got Delta, who's strong from top to bottom, but again, Delta. I mean, they don't have a ton of studs. They have a couple. North Summit, I think, has the most studs of any of those 5 teams. Bear River in 3A, they're just, again, they have numbers. They have huge numbers. And, is that going to be enough for them to beat a Morgan team who has the studs, or is Bear River's depth gonna win it in 3A? Box Elder, they're tougher than I expected this year. And to know they could have been so much tougher is gotta hurt. I mean, Box Elder, they've had a few kids quit, not wrestle this year that would have been state placers, and I think a couple injuries already. And so it's solid team. But it would have been interesting to see how they would have been had they had all those kids. Maple Mountain, it's weird kind of seeing Maple Mountain at number 7, and they may end up being the 4th or 5th best team in 4A even. That just shows you kind of how deep 4A is. Maple Mountain doesn't have the depth this year. They had a duel against, they just dueled Uinta. And I think they forfeited 1 weight, I think. And it sounds like they may be forfeiting a weight all season long. And that's, for Maple Mountain, they've always been able to put the studs out there, but the question, can they get the depth? And, this year with 4A scoring JV and varsity, I think they could struggle at the state tournament. And then Delta and Payson dueled. Sounded like it was a great duel. Payson came out on top, but Delta was right there with them. And, they could possibly be higher than number 6, 1 or 2 spots higher maybe. But they definitely are a tough team this year. Nate, what are your thoughts on 6 through 10?
My first go with that's just surprising me. Maple Mountain had a hole, and I want to say maybe they're too high, but then when I sit there and look at the list below them, I think maybe in a tournament format, I think they would probably have enough points though, because they do have some depth.
Right. I mean, they had studs, and Ryan Hansen did not wrestle on the duel.
Why was that? Why didn't he not wrestle?
From what I hear, he's out with an injury for probably 1 or 2 weeks.
Okay.
Plan is to have him back for Reno. So we'll see if he's back or not. But that definitely hurts him having him out. And
yes.
But you're right. They just they have the studs still. I mean, Van Tassel, Curtis, Mortimer. They have the studs to score big points.
Yeah.
But do they have enough depth to, like a Rumble type tournament? They're probably going to hold their own.
Right.
We have to score JV points count, and it could be a
that could really hurt them. Yeah. But I look at Delta, and man, you're right. 2A is going to be a dogfight. I mean, North Summit with their studs that they have, if everything goes right and they get it, they have their studs get to the finals and win. That's a lot of points. And does Delta have enough horses to get enough guys to the finals too, or some of these other teams that have studs gonna keep some of Delta's studs out of the finals, which could really hurt the points.
Well, and Delta, they may have had a blow the other night against Payson. One of the wrestlers went down with an injury. Don't know how severe it is. Haven't heard if he'll be out. We hope he can get back. You never want to hear of someone getting hurt, but if he's out for an extended period of time, it could hurt them. So hopefully he comes back quickly and everything's okay. But that if he's out, that could open the door for North Summit, for South Summit, North Severe, someone to kind of take over that spot.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Bear River, I don't know a whole lot about Bear River as far as a lot of their kids on their team. I believe maybe I don't know anything about them. Is that where what's his name? Maverick Skinner?
Skinners are there. You got Holden Richards. They have Canfield's there. I mean, they have Jordan Watson. They have a great team. They're definitely right now the top team in 3A. But like I said, 3A only scores varsity wrestlers, so it's can Morgan's studs get over Bear River, and Juab kind of has more of a depth plus studs. So 3A will be a good race too. But for now, I think Bear River stands at the top so far. Okay, let's move into the top 5. Number 5, we have Uinta. I guess let's just take these one at a time since we're in the top 5. 5 Uinta, they wrestled Maple Mountain the other day. They beat Maple Mountain. I think they beat them comfortably, but it was within reach for Maple Mountain at certain times. They have. You looking up the score?
Yeah, it was 10 points.
10 points.
And you went to forfeited a match too. So
right. But like I said, I think Maple Mountain's going to be forfeiting away all year long. Like I don't think they have someone at, I think it's 120 that they'll be forfeiting all year long. So you went to another great feeder program. They have some great young kids coming up, and they have depth. They have stars. They are a very good team at number 5. I don't know if I would move them up higher yet. They are at the Layton tournament, so we'll see kind of how they do. Number 4, we got Payson. Now Payson, when I started doing team previews, started looking into the rankings, they're a team that surprised me. They are very, very, very good. And if there's, to be honest, they're at 4 right now. But I know you hate to hear this, Nate, because you're Wasatch. But if there's a team that's going to knock off Wasatch, it's going to be Payson.
I think Payson's better than Layton and Pleasant Grove right now.
And yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I don't see at least in a dual format, I don't see PG or Layton knocking off Wasatch, but Payson matches up pretty good against Wasatch, and they're one team. I'm not predicting this by any means, but they're one team that if Wasatch is going to get knocked off, it's going to be Payson. A couple things on Payson. Hone at 13 beat, I think it was Dylan Bell for the varsity spot. If I'm wrong, Payson fans, go ahead and correct me. But also, I think Hone certified at 6. And I can't remember. They have some guys that certified at 6 that are going to be going down later in the season, which is going to make them even more tough. But and they're just tough top to bottom. I mean, and even right now they have, I think, Cole Jensen at 6, and he's always been tough. I don't know if he's up to weight or not, but if Hone or Bell or very, very, very good. Okay, moving on to number 3.
I got something with Payson though.
Yeah.
Payson's got to stay healthy though.
Yes.
Last year, man, they had the injury bug hit them, and I don't know if it's because Jeb's teaching too many Granby moves or something, but I don't know. It just seems like they got the injury bug bad last year.
They did. I mean, they've got to stay healthy. I mean, they had didn't they have 2 guys, Hone, the older Austin Hone and
Austin Hone,
Osborne,
yeah.
Both of those guys were out last year with injuries. So when you look at returning points, none of them factored into the returning points, but both are state placer guys. I mean, and now they're going to be competing for state titles possibly this year.
Definitely.
So, Wasatch fans, don't look past Payson. Like you said, if Jeb can keep them healthy, they're going to be a tough team. Number 3, Layton. Now, Layton is kind of let's just go 3 and 2. Let's just do that. Number 2, we have PG. So these 2 teams, I guess everyone knows who number 1 is now. It's Wasatch, right? So we might as well 1, 2, and 3. Wasatch, PG, and Layton. PG and Layton, interesting situation. Layton has, again, obviously they're number 3. They have a great team. They have some good young kids coming up. They have a solid lineup. Now we were talking about this earlier also. Layton and Wasatch. Layton does not match up well. Layton does not match up well with Wasatch. Yeah. In a dual situation. We don't think, at least, right?
Right.
PG though, 6-time state champions. My thought is they're number 1 in 5A until beaten. I know the classification rankings have Layton number 1. They have PG like 3, but PG 6-time state champions, and until they're beaten in a duel or in a tournament, they're going to stay above Layton, at least for now. Maybe we'll change our mind later, but they have. I was looking at their lineup in the upper weights. They actually have a few kids in there that didn't even wrestle JV last year. But the reason they didn't wrestle JV is because PG had a varsity JV that were really good, and they were just happened to be third man behind them. So, I think some kids on the PG team that they're a little lesser known, but they're going to do well. I think Layton. On the 5A rankings, I know Layton's number 1 by kind of a long spread, but I have a hard time believing that they're going to run away with a 5A. I think PG is going to be right there. I think it's going to be a neck and neck. I think Fremont's gonna get there. I think Fremont's a third for sure. I think it will be a battle between PG and Layton though.
And see, I see it. We could have a split state title there. I think Layton matches up really well with PG in a duel.
Yeah, they could.
I think Layton could win that, but I think because of PG's depth and like you said, it's hard to knock off the reigning champ 6 times, and and I have a hard time seeing that in a tournament format. That PG might just be deep enough to get it done.
Well, let's look. So, maybe we shouldn't do this on air, but we'll give it a shot. PG versus Layton in a duel. Who wins? We got 106. We'll just go who's favorite. Maybe that'll be politically.
Yeah, let's go on paper. Who you would favor? So
let's say Layton at 6. Layton is ranked higher, so we're going to give Layton the 106. You got Stutzman versus Rich. 113, Humphreys, and I'm not for sure who PG has at 13. I don't know. I've heard Zorn is not down at 13 this year, so Layton gets a big win at 13 probably if Zorn's not there. Probably a pin at 13.
Well, even if Zorn was there, I'd probably go Humphreys just based off of prior matchups.
20
close.
20, you got Bearclough versus Zorn. So Bearclough again on paper is a favorite. 26.
Tanner Benedict.
Who does Layton have or PG have at 26? Let's look here. Morgan Oram at 26. Benedict's the favorite there at 26. So that's four wins already in a duel. 32. I'm expecting Derek Fisher to be down at 32. I don't know that he is right now, but if he's not, I'm sure he will be eventually. So PG's got the win at 32. 38. Now here's where I'm not for sure PG's lineup where they're going at 38.
Isn't it Anthony Ridge?
You got Anthony. I think Cade Zorn's in there. Jackson Moore. I'm not for sure what they're going to end up doing with their lineup.
Yeah.
But I think you'll give it to PG on 38. 45. You got Quintana at 45 against again Cade Zorn, Jackson Moore. I would say Quintana has the edge there. Quintana, I know he didn't go to state the last couple of years, but he has a win over Loveless. He has some great wins.
Right.
Really depends on probably what Quintana shows up. If the right Quintana shows up, they're definitely favored there. So that's 5 wins. 52. This is where it kind of gets blurry. I don't know who's Layton going to have at 52. Mac Dawson for PG possibly at 52. So that one, if Weston Mehmet is at 52, I still think Mac Dawson gets the edge. But then again, I'm not for sure who's there for each team. 60, again, another one I'm not completely sure on. Do you know who does Layton have at 60?
I don't know who they have at 60. I know Layton and PG both in some of their upper weights, in those middle weights there, 52, 60. I think, he has a couple guys there and trying to see who's going to take it. A couple freshmen and a sophomore working in some of those spots.
I'm looking them up right now. I'm not for sure who they're going to have at 60. Who's going to settle in there. So let's just give the 60 to PG. I mean, we don't really know. I mean, I guess it could go either way. Because 60, I think, for PG, Harrison Sperry. 70. I don't even know. Wait, so let's go back. For Layton, you got 106, 113, 20, 26, and then 45. So that's 5 for Layton. 70, again, I think PG, Brantley Johnson, I think, is their guy. 70 for Layton, John Lund. I think you got to give Lund the favorite on paper there. Brantley Johnson, though, I don't think people know him, but I think he's pretty tough. But we'll give Layton the edge there. 82, Austin Clem for Layton. He'll be the favorite at 82. Third at state. 95, James Porritt, PG. So this is where it kind of gets iffy. I'm not for sure. What Micah Tauchioli and Brandon Clausen are doing. Are they dropping? Are they staying? I'm not for sure. So really, it could come. That's 7 right there going into 195.
Right.
If Micah Tauchioli and Clausen are not dropping, then 95 goes the edge to Layton, I think. And that would put them at 8. That's 8-6 if PG wins 220 and heavy, which they would if Tauchioli and Clausen were there. If Calcioli and Clausen drop, and then Wilkinson's in there at heavy, then it could change and could end up being 7-7. But then, like we talked about, 52-60 kind of toss-up matches where we don't know which way they're going to go. So anyway, it could be a fun duel.
Yeah. Well, and then you throw bonus points in there, on pins and stuff, and who has the advantage there, who has more studs, and that's where I think Layton has a few more studs where, I think maybe they could get a few more bonus points.
Possibly, yeah.
And so, man, but yeah, you're right. It's going to be definitely a close duel.
Right. So it will be fun. Another great team race. I think maybe I'm wrong. This year could have some of the better team races we've seen in a while. 5A, finally PG might get challenged, and I say might because you just never know.
Right.
4A, you got Wasatch, who everyone considers the clear favorite in the whole state, but then Payson, I don't think that is that far behind them. And then you got Uinta, Maple Mountain, Delta, or not Delta, Box Elder, 3A, Bear River, Juab, Morgan, and then 2A, there's 5 teams that we've talked about, and 1A, you're going to have Altamont, Duchesne. So you're going to have some battles in every classification this year. So our number 1 team, Wasatch, we didn't talk a bit about them. I think the whole state kind of puts them as number 1 right now until beaten. They've got studs at pretty much every single weight. Very difficult to beat them in a rumble type situation, a Layton tournament, a duel. Right now, I think they are the top team in the state, no doubt about it.
Well, and Wasatch is deep at so many weights too.
Right.
Especially if they're going to count JV points. My gosh.
Right.
That's almost unfair at this point.
Right. Although they're the clear favorite, I still think a 4 race will be fun. Maybe Wasatch might pull away, but it'll be fun to see if Payson can stick with him or not.
Well, that's what I really like about this dual tournament state is that it's your best 14, and anything can happen in a dual tournament.
Right.
Anything can happen, and you get someone gets hurt or just gets caught in a head throw and gets pinned. I mean, that could be a flip of 12 points right there. That could be, that just so much. That's why I love the dual tournament state title.
Well, and I know we went over PG Layton duel, but a Wasatch Payson duel is on paper pretty darn close. I mean,
we already went through this. We went through this
right
a month ago, and I think we were almost 7-7 split.
Right. So I mean, it's we talk about PG Layton being a close duel. Maybe 8-6, 7-7. Wasatch Payson duel, especially if a Hone or an Etheridge or someone gets down to 106. I mean, it could be another 7-7, 8-6 type duel, where it's a battle. So
yeah,
I mean,
it could be one heck of a duel. Just so you know.
Well, when do they duel?
I believe it's. Hold on, I'll look real quick here.
We'll have to try and get out and track cast that and stream it. That would be a fun one. If the dates will let us do it.
Let's see. We are January 11th. And just for people, we have Wasatch has 3 tough duels in a row. We got Payson, Uinta, and Layton. 3 consecutive days. The 11th, 12th, and 13th.
Those are some good ones.
So yeah, those are some serious matches.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well that's our Beehive top 25 teams. We will post those on the website today, make it public. Hopefully today, if not today, tomorrow. But let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about this weekend. 2 big tournaments this weekend. You got the Layton Invitational and the Millard Ironman. I'm working on previews for both. Our Layton preview is already posted. Our Millard preview will be posted later today. Still working on that one. But I mean, it's going to be a fun weekend. So we'll briefly discuss the Layton tournament. because I do have the preview up on our website, wrestleutah.com. You can go there and check it out. So since I have that one up there now, let's talk that one. We'll talk Miller briefly, and then I'll get to work on getting that preview out also. So Layton Invitational, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the top 25 teams will be there this weekend, which will make for some fun stuff. Finals start at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Semifinals start at 2 o'clock. Layton High School. If you're in the area,
no, it's at the event center.
Oh yes, Legacy Event Center.
It's moved to Legacy Event Center this year.
I better change that. You're right. Legacy Event Center. If you're in the area, stop by, check it out. Let me change this on our website. I put the Layton High School is wrong. Legacy Event Center. So if you're in the area, check it out. Great matches. We'll run through these weights really quickly. Our time's about up. I'm going to get going. This year, Layton is doing a 98-pound weight class. Not a ton of kids in the weight. On our website, preview, we break it down weight by weight, give you my finals prediction, champion prediction, and you can check all that on the website. So we'll run weight by weight real quick, briefly summarize. 98 pounds. Seeds are out, by the way. I don't know if public can see them yet. They're set in stone. Just so people understand the seeding criteria for the Layton tournament. First criteria is first place at the Layton tournament last year. Second criteria, first place at state tournament. Third criteria, second place at Layton. Next criteria, second place at state. Third, keeps going on and on and on. So some of these seeds I would have done differently, of course, but because there is a seeding criteria, they stick to the criteria, and it is what it is. Freshmen are all drawn in, no seeds, which makes for an interesting bracket sometimes. I mean, last year, Trevor Clough and Terrell Bear Clough wrestled, I think, first or second round, and just because Terrell was drawn in as a freshman. So 98, my finals prediction, Preston Blotter, Aiden Harris. My finals champion, Preston Blotter. 106, an interesting weight here. Ton of freshmen, going to be interesting where they get drawn in. Mason Denton, Gavin Ayotte, Braden Clark, all getting drawn in to the bracket.
And just so you know, I don't think Dalton Stutzman's just a shoe-in either, because, man, he could have a tough climb if we draw in all these freshmen. I mean, man, he's got to be on his A game maybe from the first match on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and I don't know how much weight Dalton is cutting, but imagine it gets drawn in, and Dalton Stutzman has Mason Denton first round. Second round has Gavin Ayotte. Third round has
Braden Clark
or whatever. No, he wouldn't have Clark because Clark and Denton should be on opposite sides, right? Because
okay, so then you'd have Slack, or not saying that I wouldn't put him Dalton as the favorite. It's just, my gosh, he's
right. I mean, because him and Slack are on the same side of the bracket, and like you said, he could go through first round Denton, second round Ayotte, third round Slack, finals.
Well, let me, and I'm not sure. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn here. I thought maybe we're not. Maybe we're moving up our best 106er to.
You have Trayson Davis at 106 for Wasatch.
He might move up to 13 though.
Declan Kelly at 13.
Yeah, just so you know, Trayson Davis beats all of our guys. I know Slack's our number one guy, but it was like 10-0, and then Slack caught him in a cradle and pinned him. But
got it. So I mean, Trayson Davis is going to get drawn in. Trayson is not seeded.
Right.
So and then you got, not to mention Marco Herrera, Parker Frazier.
Right, that might be the toughest weight in the whole thing right there.
Depending on how kids get drawn in, it could be a battle. I mean, it's just great.
That might be my favorite bracket to watch.
Right. Okay, 13. Your number one seed is Garrett Ricks. Your number two seed Tate Bennett, 3 seed Cub Deets. And here you got Jeremy Evans, Jarrett Jorgensen, all getting drawn in. My finals prediction: Garrett Ricks versus Tate Bennett. But don't count out Cub Deets though.
That's another really good bracket there.
Yeah, it's very good.
Didn't Cup just lose to Mortimer?
Yeah, Mortimer beat him this week. So, my finals prediction champion, Garrett Ricks. So I think Garrett Ricks will come out on top.
Oh, you have Tate Bennett.
That was a mistake. I just fixed it.
Okay, that would make sense.
So yeah, Garrett Ricks is my pick. I did have Tate Bennett on there. That was before I had Garrett Ricks in it. I must have just forgot to change it. So Garrett Ricks, for the record, is my pick.
Right. Okay.
20. Let's move on to 20. So this is me and Nate debated this weight already. Number 1 seed is Trevor Clough, 2 seed Terrell Bearclough, 3 seed Keegan Leatherow, 4 seed Randy Merkley. My finals prediction, and I know this differs from Nate, is Terrell Bearclough versus Tyson Humphreys. And then my champion, Terrell Bearclough. Tyson and Terrell wrestled in a wrestle-off, and I think it was 1-0. So you never know what will happen. I expect Tyson Humphreys will get drawn in. He's a freshman. I'm assuming he's going to get drawn in opposite Terrell Bearclough, which will put him on Trevor Clough's side. He could see Trevor Clough, first round, second round, or third round. Again, another draw-in that could cause some issues. And, I think Humphreys is going to make it to the finals. I know, Nate, you differ. You think Clough's going to get there. It will be a battle. It will be fun. I wish I was going to be there to watch it.
Can't wait to see it, though. I want it to happen.
Right.
But
another one in there, Sammy Haywood, a freshman that could change things. You have Colby Monson from UNT. You have 2 UNTs, Randy Murphy and Monson. Jed Lee being there as well. So, 26. Your 1 seed's Tanner Benedict. Your 2 seed's Jackson Cole. I don't think there's any argument or disagreement here. We both think Cole and Benedict are going to get to the finals. Prediction and champion of Jackson Cole. Benedict beat him at Super State, though, so it is not a gimme match for Jackson Cole at all. But it will be a fun one to watch. I don't see – you have Austin Bingham in there, Smune, Jake Frost, couple freshmen, Bo Busho, Kate Siddall. But I don't see any of those guys beating Jackson Cole or Benedict. Jake Frost is your 3 seed. He'll see Jackson Cole in the semis. Smune and Bingham are your 4 and 5. The winner of that will see Benedict. So 32. Nate knows this one. Stockton O'Brien's at 32.
You're too high, man.
Unseeded at 32, though, Stockton as a freshman. So your number 1 seed is Abe. Your number 2 seed is Jack Lang. And then your number 3 seed is Michael Yamayandors. Wickham. I know him by Michael Wickham, so we're going to go by Michael Wickham is your number 3 seed. Stockton unseeded. Tyler Shuren unseeded. Drawn in. My finals prediction is Stockton versus Abe. Prediction of Stockton winning. Now, obviously, that depends on what side Stockton gets drawn into. If Stockton's drawn into Abe's side, then that changes things, obviously. And I would predict Lang to be in the finals against Stockton. But I think, personally, Abe poses some threats to Stockton. I think Abe, his style, he's older. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup, those two, which will be fun to see. Stockton, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, wrestling up a weight. He'll be at 26. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles the bigger kids as a freshman. So he's up a weight as a freshman. but I know he's a gamer. I pick him to win it. So
Okay, well, as me personally, I don't. That that Beaumont kid,
Abe, super tough.
Abe's good. He has wins over Isaac Wilcox, McKay Foy, and I believe Zach Musselman.
No, Abe is very tough. Like that's what I'm saying.
So
He will pose some challenges for Stockton.
plus giving up some weight there, because I think Abe wrestled 32 last year, so I imagine he's cutting some.
Right.
Where I'm going to be feeding, Stock's going to have to eat some to get up to 32. So
right. So that'll be
because it's +2. So
right. It's true.
So
yeah, that'll be an interesting one there. Will be interesting to see how Shern does. You know how Lang does. See him up at 32. From what I hear, Shern's looking really good. 38. Let's move to 38. Your number 1 seed is Zach Kohler. Your 2 seed is Dylan Chavez Harriman. 3 seed Carlos Nava. 4 seed Logan Crandall. 5 seed Nathan Richards, and 6 seed Taylor Heath. Now here, I think Zach Kohler is your favorite. You know, and I think, you know, Carlos Nava will have Taylor Heath, won't he, in the quarters? Is that right?
Should.
You'll have Heath and Nava in the quarters. Oh, and I forgot you have Essig at number 7. So you'll have a Chavez versus Essig match in the quarters. Essig, super tough kid. I know Chavez beat him last year, I'm pretty sure, at state, I want to say. But I wouldn't count Essig out of that match. I wouldn't count Heath out of the match against Nava. Ultimately, I picked Nava to make it to the finals out of that side. And then I get Kohler on the other side coming out. Kohler winning the finals is my prediction.
Good prediction.
45. Okay, so now 45. Here's one. I think it's seeded completely wrong. But again, like I explained at the beginning, you have a set criteria, and you got to go by that criteria. It's not who you think should be seeded where. It's a criteria, and you go by it, and that's what this tournament does. So your number 1 seed, Logan Jensen. Number 2 seed, Antonio Nava. Number 3 seed, Kevin Mora. Number 4 seed, Isaac Wilcox. Number 5 seed, Stephen Quintana. Number 6, Stephen Bailiff. So interesting here, you got Logan Jensen, you got Isaac Wilcox, and Stephen Quintana all on the same side of the bracket. Isaac and Stephen are going to hit the quarters. The winner of that's going to hit Logan, and then obviously the winner of that will hit. My prediction is Bailiff, you know, coming out of the 6th seed. He'll see Mora in the quarters, and then if he wins that, he'll see Nava in the semis. Nava has a great headlock. I think everyone knows that. So you can never count him out of a match. But Bailiff, super tough kid. I see him coming out of that half the bracket. I predict Logan Jensen to come out of the other half. You know, I think any of those 3 wrestlers are capable of coming out of that side, though. Quintana, I mean, like we talked about earlier, he beat Loveless, super dangerous. Wilcox, we all know he's super powerful, great wrestler. He was beating Logan Jensen at Fall League until the last 30 seconds of the match where he got turned. So you can't count him out against Logan. But ultimately, I see Isaac, you know, hitting Quintana in the semi or in the quarters, and then hitting Logan, and I'm predicting Logan to come out on top and against Bailiff as well. So that's my prediction. But I could be 100% wrong, and Isaac can make the finals.
That's a tough weight, Jeff. That's a tough weight.
It is. Quintana can make I mean, any of those 3 could come out of that side, I think.
Yes.
52. Hardy's at 52. I think I'd be ridiculous not to be picking Hardy as the champion prediction. But I'm going to predict Corbin Smith against him. You know, and Corbin's no slouch. We know Corbin. He's going to put up a fight, and it'll be interesting to see how that one goes. But ultimately, obviously, I'm going to pick Brock to win it. Braden Stevens is your 3 seed. 4 seed Jace Anderson. 5 seed Miles Young. 6 seed Cole Clark. I mean, I don't see. I mean, Braden Stevens is going to be against Corbin in the semis. You know, assuming they both get there. I don't see Corbin getting beat there, and Corbin and Brock match should be I think it'll be an exciting match. I think points will be scored. Both wrestlers seem to get after it and score points, so it will be a fun one. 160. You got Jacob Disher, number 1, Tucker Thompson 2, Brad Finley 3, Keston Mosier 4. I don't see Disher and Thompson not in the finals. Brad Finley has put in a lot of work in the offseason. I know that. I think he will push Tucker, and if I hear that Finley beat him, I wouldn't be like overly surprised. But in the end, I think Tucker's a guy, tough kid.
And what about Mason though?
Who?
Mason Christiansen.
Oh yes, Mason. That in my preview I talked about Mason. That is an interesting one.
Yeah. He hasn't wrestled a lot of these guys yet.
Right.
So they don't know what's coming at him here.
Right. And so
he's got a motor that doesn't quit.
Right. And again, he's getting drawn in to the bracket. Where is he going to get drawn in at? Is he going to hit Tucker Thompson first round? Is he going to hit, Brad Finley first round? I mean, this is his tournament to kind of show where he's at. Right. And he'll have plenty of opportunity to do it. So, I was looking at the seeds and he wasn't there. I forgot. Yeah, he's in my preview. Definitely someone to watch for. Probably one of the ones I'll be anxious. Him and Cade Carlson, who we'll get to later, probably two of the ones I'm most anxious to see how they do at this tournament. But yes, my prediction is Disher and Thompson in the final still. Disher winning it, but it will be very interesting to see how Mason does against those guys. 170, your number 1 seed, Cole Moody, 2, Seth Gardner, 3, Tanner Moon, 4, Ty Thornton. Cole Moody, he's my finalist champion prediction against Seth Gardner. I don't see a ton of resistance for Cole Moody getting to the finals. I think Seth Gardner will get there as well. I don't think I'm missing anybody this one. But then again, I mean, John Lund, Tanner Moon, Ty Thornton, all tough kids.
Sure.
But I just see Cole Moody as kind of the top of that one. 82. You got Richie Haywood, your number 1. Owen Pence is your number 2. Austin Clem's your number 3. Alex Johnson, your number 4. Finals prediction, Owen Pence, Richie Haywood. Finals champion prediction, Owen Pence. Austin Clem, don't count him out. Clem and Pence will hit in the semis. Clem, 3rd at state last year. Not an easy match for Pence. I do obviously think Pence will win the match, but not one where I don't think Pence is just going to walk into the finals.
Right.
The semis. And then, Owen and Richie, going to be a battle. Going to be a fun one again. That's another one I'm excited for. 195. We got number 1, DJ Cohen, 2, Alex Shope, 3, Weston Anderton, 4, James Porritt, 5, Jackson Rubido, 6, Dylan Kruger. Again, another weight. I don't really expect much to change from what the seedings have it. Number 1 and number 2, I expect DJ Cohen and Alex Shope to be in the finals with DJ Cohen winning. But you have kids like Zach Heaton, Tristan Carmen, a little lesser known guys that are tough, and they're going. I don't think they're seeded. They're not seeded. Neither one of them are seeded, so They'll get drawn in. Taylor Money not seeded, drawn in. James Port's 4. Gordon Hermanson. I mean, so you have some guys getting drawn in there that are going to be tough. Okay, 220. We'll roll through this and finish up here. 220. Again, one of the freshmen I'm excited to see, Cade Carlson. Mason and Cade, the reason I'm excited to see how they do is they're freshmen, top in the country type kids, but they're coming in at higher weight classes. It's always interesting to see how those guys adapt, at those higher weight classes, wrestling those juniors and seniors. So Cade Carlson, I'm excited to see how he does. Unseeded, getting drawn in. your number one and 2 seed, 1 Chase Trussell, 2 Brandon Pence. And then really Cade Carlson, if I had to pick a top 3, he'd be my 3rd pick. But finals prediction, Chase Trussell, Rand Pence. Finals champion, Chase Trussell. Now, Chase and Rand wrestled this last week.
Last night.
Chase won by fall. But from what I've heard, Pence was winning the match in the 3rd period when Chase pinned him. Obviously, I could be wrong, but that's what I was told. I still think Chase will come out win this match. But don't count out Pence. It will be a good one.
Definitely.
Assuming Cade Carlson doesn't upset one, and make it to the finals himself. But it'll be interesting to see how he does. Moving on to the big boys. Heavyweight, number 1, Riley Taylor. 2, Sean Stockwell. 3, Eduardo Rodriguez, North Summit. 4, Porter Fox. I don't see any. 1, 2, Riley Taylor, Stockwell making the finals. I have Riley winning it. I don't see anything different than those 2 making it. Not much. I don't think they'll be challenged until the finals. So that's my thoughts.
I think you're right. I like it.
Anyways, that's the Layton tournament. Previews on our website, WrestleUtah.com. Check it out. Leave us a comment. And that is the Layton tournament. So, okay, moving on to the Millard Ironman before we close up. Again, I have not posted this preview yet. We will get it posted. Hopefully, a lot of stuff getting done, but hopefully today will be posted. If not, it will be first thing in the morning before the tournament starts. But hoping tonight it'll be up and we'll get it out. So the way this tournament works, dual tournament, you have 3 pools, I do believe, pool A, B, and C. And then your first and second places from each pool go into another one, third and fourth go into another one, fifth and sixth go into another one. Is that right, Nate? Is that
I believe
my
so. That's how I understand it's supposed to work.
Okay, so in Pool A, your top teams, looks like Millard's in that one, Maple Mountain is in that one, Duchesne's in that one. So I would say those are the 3 teams in our top 25 that are in Pool A. So they'll wrestle round robin bracket with each other. Pool B, Delta, looks like Delta and Payson are in Pool B. I wonder if they just wrestled. I wonder if they're going to change that. I wonder if they'll change that. But as of right now, it looks like Delta and Payson are in the same pool. And those are your top 2 teams in Pool B. Pool C, it's looking like you got Pleasant Grove and Juab in Pool C. Again, not knowing if they're going to change the pools, I would assume these are the pools. But some good duels, some interesting duels. All the 1s and 2s will come out of those into a pool. So, we're going to see, we could see a Delta Payson rematch. Pleasant Grove is our number 2 team in the Beehive Top 25. But they're going to
them and Payson go.
Right. They could have Payson, Delta, Maple Mountain. It's and it looks like, PG's bringing their A team. So it's going to be a fun weekend for the Millard Ironman. With the pools, how they're set, the 1s and 2s go into the pool, and our Beehive Top 25 is going to shake up dramatically, probably.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's Millard. We'll get more on Millard out. With it being a dual tournament, it's just, team versus team, and we'll see how it comes out. But those are the pools. I would expect, since I gave my predictions on the other one, so I'll give them here without much looking into it. I think, obviously, Pool A, I think Maple Mountain and Millard are going to come out of that. Probably, I would say Maple Mountain 1, Millard 2, Duchesne will be 3. But then again, Maple Mountain, it looks like they're going to have a hole, at maybe a couple holes, and maybe I take that back. Maybe they won't make it out. Because right now they don't have a 13-pounder in there. I would expect Mortimer to be. I don't know why Mortimer wouldn't be there. So I don't think they've got their lineup completely in there yet. But if they do, they could be forfeiting 2 weights. But I would expect Mortimer to be in there. Pool B, I think Delta Payson beat them already. I would expect the same result. I don't know that there are any upsets, at that duel.
Right.
Or not. And then Pool C, Pleasant Grove Juab coming out there, and then I can't wait to see PG wrestle Delta and Payson and Maple Mountain. Delta, I'm excited to see them wrestle Maple Mountain and Millard, and then obviously PG. Be a fun tournament for sure. So, any thoughts there on the Millard Ironman, Nate?
I just want to see PG and Payson, or I want to see Maple Mountain and PG. I just want to see how PG's studs do against a couple of those teams, just to kind of give me a better idea where PG is, especially with some of their heavier weights that we're
right.
sure about. They're 52, 60, 70, 80. Kind of.
Through 95, 52 through 95 is really
kind of up
probably their biggest question marks because they're all new kids.
And that's kind of where Payson has some good kids in that weight, and so does Maple Mountain. So it'll kind of tell us the strength of PG.
Yep. So, anyways, we'll get like I said, preview will be up. WrestleUtah.com. Check it out. Layton preview's up there. Beehive Top 25. We'll make sure it's published by tomorrow at the latest, if not today. Any last things before we sign off, Nate?
I'm just excited for wrestling to finally start.
Yes, me too. Be a lot of fun. Next, so also, besides just the high school wrestling, UVU is down at the Las Vegas tournament. Cliff Keen invite. A lot of ranked teams down there. It'd be fun to see if any of the UVU guys can step up and beat some ranked guys and get in the rankings. So not only the high school level, the college level will be going. I know Craig Lamont, I think Sean Warren's going down there, so we'll probably get some Facebook Live on the matches. Make sure to let us know if you want certain matches, Facebook Live, and we'll see if they can do it for us. No guarantees though. Next week, Wednesday's the plan. UVU versus Boise State. Dual preview. We'll probably touch on some rankings, high school and youth rankings also, since first week is over. Maybe some all-star talk. UVU wrestles Boise State on the 10th in Boise. And then UVU's first home duel, mark your calendars, December 15th against Oregon State. We want to fill up the gym, pack the house, support UVU against Oregon State. I think Oregon State might be ranked. I can't remember. But it'll be a good one. December 15th. I think it's at 7 o'clock. We'll get more information out about that, maybe in a dual preview. We're also trying to set up a youth all-star match for intermission at the UVU duel. Not sure exactly who yet. If you have ideas, send them our way. I'm working on that right now. So anyways, nothing else. We'll sign off. If you have topics for us out there you want us to talk about, let us know, and we'll put them on the list. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.